My next guest in the speaker studio is Professor Amy Edmondson, who is the Novartis Professor of Leadership and Management at the Harvard Business School, a chair established to support the supply of human interactions that lead to the creation of successful enterprises that contribute to the betterment of society. That's an introduction, isn't it?
Sure is.
Amy, welcome to the studio. How are we doing?
I'm well. I might have to unpack that a little bit.
Please do. Please do. What did all that mean?
So what that means is that the chair that I have the privilege to hold at Harvard has a mission statement. And that mission statement is to enable the study of human interactions, what we're doing right now, that lead to successful enterprises in the private and public sector, and particularly for the benefit of society, right? So that, let's say the NHS. The NHS's success very much contributes to the betterment of society. I mean, that's obvious. My area of study says that how we talk to each other, how we interact, is a profound determinant of those outcomes.
I feel like you're going to be judging us now of how
not at all, not at all, because it's not. In fact, it's the very opposite of judging, right? The human interactions that matter most are the ones that are relatively devoid of judging and are really about mutual learning. Can I learn from you? Can you learn from me? So that we can make a better decision, so that we can have better outcomes, say, in this case, for patients.
Fantastic. And I say you've done a session already today, haven't you, this morning, which was transformative approaches to leadership with with yourself. So transformative approaches to leadership.
Yes.
Tell us a bit, if anyone did miss that session, what were the sort of key learning areas and key points you discussed in that?
Well, let me say something about what I mean by leadership. Leadership is the art of influencing others. And that can be done by anyone, right? So leader is a role, leadership is a behavior. And I talked about the leadership behaviors that influence others in positive ways, particularly to be more learning-oriented and more team-oriented, more able and willing to collaborate with others to get things done.
And in terms of takeaways from your session, like what are the sort of key messages, the key points that you really want people to get out of that session and actually take away and maybe implement in their own individual organizations?
I'd say one key point is that coming from a place of humility and curiosity and empathy will naturally allow you to engage in the leadership behaviors that are sorely needed in today's world, particularly in today's healthcare delivery. So humility is simply the recognition that you don't have all the answers, and you surely don't have a crystal ball where you can see the future. So you are absolutely in need of each other. Curiosity is simply that drive to ask good questions. To ask people, what are you seeing? What am I missing? How might we go about that differently? And then finally, the empathy to routinely put yourself in others' shoes so that you are as careful and productive and learning-oriented as you can in your interactions with other people. Those are sort of the essential qualities of leadership that help us thrive in an uncertain world.
And do you think, in terms of the key qualities of leadership, obviously you've just covered, how are these challenged in the context of healthcare in particular? Just to put you on the spot now.
No, it's a very good question, because in fact, the beginning of the answer is they are challenged in the context of healthcare delivery. Why? Because healthcare is facing enormous headwinds. Right? There's so many challenges that the whole system is facing. I don't need to enumerate them here. People know that. So it makes the job of being a great collaborator, a great leader, harder. But here's the key: it doesn't make it any less necessary. So it is up to all of us to, everyone really, to take a deep breath and figure out, what can you do? The only thing you can actually control is your own behavior, and that's not easy. So, but recognizing that you can't change others, you can only show up and be the best version of yourself possible, that's really where it begins.
Fantastic. And in terms of your experience of the conference so far? Like, have you had time to experience
Yeah.
any other part of it other than your sessions, or have you had a look round? Is there anything you found particularly interesting or surprising while you've been here?
Well, I just arrived this morning and I was on stage at 10 and backstage at 9:30. So I have not yet had an enormous opportunity to explore. But as I look around here, the number of booths and participants that are high quality, learning oriented, interesting, it's staggering. Right? I think it looks like a very beautifully organized environment where there's just an awful lot of learning possible here.
And in terms of just from a leadership perspective,
Yeah.
you know, what's your view on expos like this in terms of getting everybody in
Ah.
the same room? Like, just talk
Yeah.
to us about
Yeah.
the importance of like putting
Yeah.
on events like this.
Several things. Being face to face is energizing. It's exciting. It's so much more effortless to learn from other people when you're with them and you kind of connect. You can get that energy, that emotion of being with other people and realize, A, they have the same problems I have. B, they may have some better solutions than I have. And that willingness to share and learn together. I think it's an incredibly powerful aspect of being a professional, and particularly in healthcare delivery.
And in terms of, you know, you cover your leadership and management, is it specifically healthcare you're in, or do you cover other
I
industries
have
as
done
well?
probably half of my field research has been in the healthcare delivery setting. The other half has been in other kinds of organizations, everything from large corporations to small startups to government agencies.
And in terms of you know, the people in healthcare compared to other industries you might have worked in, I know you touched on empathy. Obviously, it's a very empathetic, it's a very caring industry. Like, how do you see leadership sort of differentiation between healthcare compared to other
No.
industries?
I don't think healthcare has a lock on empathy. Actually, the empathy involves not sympathy. Right? Empathy involves that ability to get outside your own head and view, or at least imagine, the world through someone else's. And that's an essential quality of leadership in any sector.
And look into the future. Do you see anything that you're particularly excited about in terms of the healthcare industry, or, you know, moving forward? Is there anything that you think, oh, that's really good for leadership, improvement,
Yeah.
management?
I think I'm excited about the earnest desire to make the system better. I think with all of that motivation, we will get there. I'm anxious, as I think we all are, about the challenge that lies ahead.
Absolutely. And in terms of practices or innovation, is there anything sort of within the NHS and the healthcare industry you've looked at and gone, that's pretty good? You know, you think that's the right way moving forward?
Well, I think the partnerships that are happening with companies, with other organizations are really promising. So that when you realize, hey, we have to do this work and we can't do it alone, and are willing to truly partner with other entities, that's where innovation is most likely to happen.
I think this is I have to say, a brilliant opportunity. I know you touched on it before in terms of getting people in the room, having those face-to-face conversations, because I think depending on whatever stage of your career you're at, this is the room to be in, whether you're a specialist after years of training, whether you've been in it years, whether you're just starting your career in healthcare. This is the place to be. Would you agree?
I would agree. This is a place where people are choosing learning over knowing. They're here because they know they don't know everything. They want to learn. They want to gain from the experiences and insights of their colleagues, and they're leaning into that.
And final question for you, is there anything you really want to get out of today and potentially tomorrow as well, out of this expo as a whole?
Well, I think I most want to get out of it the opportunity to be helpful. And it's a high bar, and I hope that the presentation I gave is helpful to some people, and I hope that some of the work on the sidelines like this is also providing some value.
It's brilliant. It's insightful, educational. I've enjoyed speaking to you, so thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for coming and joining us in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Professor Amy Edmondson there, talking to us in the speaker studio. Don't go away. We'll be having plenty more guests and lots of content coming up soon.